For when him said the ECOSO war Israel and Iran for Entemono. I'll be doing a breakdown the ECOFA and Tokwe at the Abaye meetings ECOSO, last meeting and there's ECOSO and all the ECOCO and a whole lot. I'll be doing some breakdown. But Enra me post to be say one for a war Iran and Israel. Yes, we have contacts or more coordinated. So if you are finding difficulty in reaching any of them, now we hear help in coming back, and now we hear specific help. Yeah, reach out to your number no your Kofi TV, Kofi Radio Public Line on WhatsApp. Which are here in Facebook. Bio now we who say number na da ho betimi click WhatsApp on so straight. Now I send you a message. Now yetumi aboa. We anka say Kofi TV na dey sike ba befa. But we have people there, they are ready to assist you in any form. Na strangely, Iran for coordinate they'll be able to make passage into Turkey, a bit more neighboring countries, Libya, or more Shena, or more to me Abba. Israel for to be, I'll be bringing you some videos on that. One more, one Sabri, one more fee. Coordination no to me akoso. But if you are not able to reach any of the official models now, which media P Abanwa, just reach out to us. One more direct contactor will be able to assist in that regard. Now, wait to me Abba and other ways I bet to me the Abwa Abra Sabre Iran and Israel. But strangely, people are calling us from other countries now, a war in between Israel and Iran. Many of our see are reaching out. But also reaching out from Iraq, a be reaching out from Jordan, all over. They are reaching out from countries never are trapped. No, in the in Shemua or the air. Many just explain briefly. More challenging or anything.
Nankasa no me baby ame wo ide me was sitting baby ame me was sitting but 3 days ago no mo to you see Iran for ne to bomb ni bi ai baby wo ha see your friend ho Kiran ai ti said you me wa kra na e okumase to mo to ye ne ba Kiran ne bubu adan bebre wo ho no but enku nipa de
Okay.
enku nipa de nti ahana yenye safe brakofi yenim de bebesi nti ye live in panic. You live in panic. Once baby, I mean, I to say underground. High nice say underground. He said, almost 2 ani abeshasi. Ushe underground asibia and bibi ni ho ebesi.
Okay. Udini is saying.
Within the Frank.
Okay. Frank, also country near hip or hip.
Wait.
Okay. At the Kuwait, more side, more middle, and answer more one of that, including Israel and Iran. We made a hina more ben or mona, a family tissue.
For almost 2 bomb and fire it so. If Tibia in case Abia Iran at all. A fire in so echo Israel.
Israel, so to
Fire so. Say yen yes your muntem.
Enti abom ho Ghana fo mo pese mo ba fia na say o mo ahye mo boss bibia be okay. How is it like?
Abai na ọwa ha ne deɛ ɔma hyɛ bɔ sɛ yɛn ti kurom ha deɛ yɛn ka yɛ akoma nto yɛn yam na biribi ni ho ɛbɛto yɛn nti yɛhwɛ sɛ aban no ɛbɛbɔ yɛn ho ban but ɔmo kurom hafoɔ no deɛ ɔmo tu kwan kɔ bebree na tu kwan kɔ Europe ɛkɔ because ɔmo nim deɛ ɛbɛto because ɔmo deɛ ɔmo kita ɔmo wɔ sika but yɛn expert yɛbɛyɛ adwuma wɔ kurom ha deɛ yɛte ha yɛtwɛn sɛ biribiara bɛyɛ kamakama na aban no wahwɛ yɛ so. But media me nya fie anka meba but we sika na eni ho brako fie see bi ometo na bi abeto ha nti ye live in panic Enim de ba beto next day. Say me dakra na me ni gusu sa me ntimi nda because me nim de ebeto me. Enim de ebeto yen. Because yen e show mu finfin. To mo to bomb na bitimi ba ya ha. Me busuafo na mpese me show na say me bo me ma me na yem hye ne parent. Mpese me kan che ma me say bibia e kama na mana on kana kuma to ne because sika ne ni wan kame ma be fie. Isi ade me mpese obi be ko ne ntokwa na me benya ho so nti me ma me busuafo say odi omo nkoma kuma to yo omo yem na bibia be kama.
All right. Yeah, that's it.
That's the back of it.
Okay. And that is, in fact, and you're on there are people who have raked out, connect your more to get to, obi wɔ hɔ a, baabi a ɔwɔ no, the only means I'll bet media some of this information through social media. That is why you use a platform to be able to help. Yeah, boy, be more ama one more etumi alenke up, and some are out. We'll be speaking to some of them in due course because your number near public. And before we even announce, maybe more reach out that ama connected one more to where they can get that assistance urban. And that is how it is. But unfortunately, one wants to say, yeah, Sheno, Iran, Israel. Probably we will have to widen the scope because one more bomb na momuti so na say o ma sha sia o mo esuno. But quickly, Ras Mubarak ma yene no ending komo or ye akanembra shibe yeni eno actually no ye very vocal say eba komo a ekoso se between Israel, Iran, and United States of America. Yene ni ho enkomo. But kai say what tonima bi na opese kodru fie wa Ghana ma won temo you should rapid courier. For one number necessary and a friend rapid courier ma kwan ma utumi to ade kra use o mo address e be ka o mo nsa no mo de abrɛ wo fie because ne mani bi wo ha en shipo emma yen ho and to take advantage of that and what to ade nso na pese do fie ntema o mo office wo UK o mo office e wo America and o mo office e wo Europe and o fall within any of these just reach out to their numbers on be contact on be connect na oni ma na tumi akwakodru fie. All right, I was for Sabre yene when Ras Mubarak ebedi enkomo kakra. Follow no on social media, you realize my constant updates on the ekoso ewo Middle East or Iraq, Iran, and Israel for entemono. But he seemed to be posting more of how Iran for eche womo etumi. Honorable what you can. My name Ghana time abo but yemo akwaba.
Miriam Joso na mechia osusu ebe desusu se ene matewonka. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Na me fa kwanya we so na me express how happy I feel. Say you're back on your feet and clearly returning to the work that you used to do. Enti obo ade na ye beda na se ene the way he's been able to protect you and guide you as well.
Me that's so Mrs. Zobo Mama ne nana obo mama ne how you kept checking on us and all that. Nyamisha also. All right. But quickly, the ECOSO, in summary, your take on the ECOSO between Israel and Iran, Sisi, before I bring the United States in.
My family, my number no and to flight mode because calls me.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I brought it to flight mode, no. Now me can't sure say where did you hear me and into true green food, nedi true green food Ghana ye nuane ya ba kutioza fe eba koko but said the breche e Canada no or more is carbohydrate ne free mo until they are very good for health. Obi or diabetes and also blood pressure, those conditions, with the true green food a boa pa ema utimi reverse some of these conditions. And you in fact they have a whole lot of natural ways if I tell you the amount of supplements US or they ama made during my trials you'll be shocked. Ebi wo home normal ade enchena chese mani sumpuna pa a chain there and just contact them or more true blue tea for a lot of it, but we did the money their petrol green food na entime wow. Sounds when a tap send opesa mani sika kofia the easiest way. Wo say see na ho den aba so ntimo de kwa munya bebre, but assistance no sa na be o project na say wadwuma ese wo ye no so ese to so and still send your money back home. Now we'll send there you to tap send. It doesn't matter where you are. Obey to me, I use to tap send. Now or they send you sikano at the akofie. And to download the app now, na send the sikano for coffee. Ma may share and common I say right away. On abonami bisa say in summary, what do you make of the air courses between Israel and Iran?
Me da say the tell me say abrofi omo adwin say wona omo nya abrofi de sha no me sha omo so na woyɛ kuro bi na saa kuro no ɔma mpanyi na adwene sɛ ɔmpene ma aborɔfo yɛ nsiti hɔ a ɛne na to hyɛ no mbɛto ahyɛ wo. And there are historical reasons why I'm saying this. Wobɛkae 1966 February yɛtu Kwame Nkrumah deɛ so yɛyaaya na ɛnam adwuma Kwame Nkrumah mmɔdenbɔ a na ɔbɔ ɛnam adwuma a na ɔyɛ ma Ghana ne ebibuman nyinaa nti ɛyɛ aborɔfo no hi ma ɔmo tu no firi so. Ohe Congo koraa de ɔmo yɛ friends ɔmo ma panyin Patrice Lumumba ɔmo ku no yɛyaaya ɛtoto ne sin nyinaa ɛma aborɔfo bi ɛde kɔyɛ trophy kyɛ sɛ wakɔ hunting na aboa bi otimi de ebia ne nwoma no anaa ne horns no aba fie no saa na ɔmo yɛ Patrice Lumumba ɛnam sɛ na Patrice ɛmpene so ɛma ayɛ friends Abrofi exploited the resources in the Congo. Or the bar, and there are several countries like that. And Kofi, you would remember, Thomas Sankara, the same thing, Omutu Nadeso ya Ekuno. And I'm saying he wasn't allowing these white people to control Burkina Faso and the rest. Or North Africa, you remember what they did to Muammar Gaddafi. NATO America for ya ne French for ne one or Mokaka home. Or her even is Iraq had in the crowd called UN said there's weapons of mass destruction. Meaning it was a pack of lies that were meant to destroy Iraq and steal the resources of Iraq. And no more call Iraq and talk anymore. You saw the amount of gold and the oil almost within a short period of time. Almost in Echo America. Iran, a country is very strategically placed. Fango, number 5 in the world in terms of oil production.
Okay.
And they are forming alliances also because Nancy Omar joining BRICS. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now Iran and some other countries. Now Iran also on China for signing an agreement. They are doing a railway line, between Iran and China. Adding Buama Ejedi Akoso Kama. Enti Obi said now Onyina so ne say na all kase is an imperialist agenda.
Yeah.
And you
because mom na ye hu ne say ye be before ye hu omo so ya abrofo nti o ka say abrofo no to share bi mo so a omo so ye hu omo so ya abrofo in a way
omo nya abrofo o he omo skin color na o he ye friend say omo ye Europeans ankasa omo skin color clearly no nso we can say difference
and so yeah them. Okay.
Trade them na abrofi apart from one ankasa one who obia as different from them, and so they are devising ways to keep economies down, to keep oppressing people, and to keep subjugating people. Now, the India Mekas as when they say statement a free European Union ho buy obia Iran for ya to ahye because Kofi ansa na oman bi ebe declare say mene oman foforo bi eko no according to UN. And don't forget say we live in a world governed by rules. As I said, who invoke Article 33 of the UN Charter. UN Charter and they say you have to use every peaceful means to resolve your disputes. And 1 year you invoke Article 34 and Article 51 of the UN Charter, which is that you have to go to the Security Council. When Israel for anye, and omutu echo share Iran for so. Now more abrofi Europe for more bekase. Obia ono yabeto ahye no. Mo man ya akọ. Mo say dinatem, mo sa ahye na horoba. Mo sa akondeme obia ono oti ne kroma yabeto ahye no. And rather going ahead to praise Israel for what Israel is doing. Now say Kofi nka nokra we wiase de a nka ye no an say na men oman a omo commit genocide. Oman a omo kunkum nipa bebre o had the way they've destroyed Palestine. International High Court kura abo omo ema mpanyin kwadu are charging with war crimes. Nka sa man yi de nka ye ne omo enye hwe. Nka you are isolating them. But that is not what is happening. What is happening is that America and these European countries have rather come together. I'm sure you've heard the German, president expressing full support for what Israel is doing. So it feeds into a colonialist agenda or more Emma Obibia on look like them. And it's very unfortunate. But Kofi, Sashia Adiesi, one, the ultimate victims would be the people of the world. Ensure crime be the whole friend of the state of the Strait of Hormuz. Sa ensure crime no. We are seeing oil found go about for the banner too, especially from the Middle East. By 20%, a little over 20% effort. And to quay a bit to me ama Iran for block because anyone want to share border. Iran for block a oil price ya budget to say currently is not up to $100 per barrel no.
Yeah.
One we can now go to $150-200 per barrel. A company sa ebema nru eboye den. And then we only me and kokra for and kola, government subsidizes medicine for everybody in our country. And no home bad thing. Adriana home bad thing. Kasika home bad thing. And they are huchra yen who be that. And they beba uyase. Beyond that, it is also going to throw our economy out of gear and create inflation. Because a bambia a budget say a fee sika may expect to say million revenue ni nyoma meton projections are my ye mesusu sika me spend e dia to nuro e dia to nuane e dia ya kwan e dia say this enie
na ke say ohun ne say ntokwa na be affect we are seeing na entino ensesenke but let's look at reason Israel and so am say ache eno omoka say Iran for a year to pa year nuclear weapons ometumi edi bone eninti womo enyai though womo for dance my but it's been consistent womo aka understand say na talks cra koso between United States and Iran and sana omokwa koto hye womo eso what will you say obi nso ka say na Israel show say sa akodie Iran eye wie a omo ne omo atamfo omo ben womo enti omo de omo bedi omo bone enti no ontwen ma egya no enso ansa na wakodum no but so obetumi a utumi ehya ase straight essence you edigugu bia egya no beso no ankasa because they didn't target just civilians but omo targeted these sites almost suspect say womo yes akodie
edikan Iran mamua and I know say you be our research kind woman.
Yeah.
Iran started and talk against any nation in the last 300 years. Just 3 centuries.
Okay.
So what to say Iran kwa na obi na abeto ahye no. To say in the 90s, Iraq for Equator share, Iran for any more for 6 years.
Yeah.
Kofi, in the last 300 years, Iran enkoto enshe obi aso. Na sebe, omaya omo enkoto enshe obi aso. Any omaya also on the neighbors, omontena asumdwe mu, they will commit a genocide. Sa amai ni in terms of trusting somebody with dangerous weapons, one or better trusting. Now when the Makwan say Israel to me equip nuclear weapons, and they have nuclear weapons, and the reason why they are not declaring it, the reason why they are not sending your friends saying UN inspectors, IE for near there, is because of Omutrimusum, because they know said they've acquired those dangerous weapons illegally. After the Second World War, there was an agreement saying or might be a proliferation of nuclear weapons. And what Iran is saying is that nuclear no. To say that not Kwame Nkrumah time and not man penny, the atomic energy
Atomic energy. Yeah.
and atomic energy.
Yeah.
Because nuclear no ubet media energy.
Energy. Yeah.
Ubet media enginam kania.
Yeah.
Usa ubet media to paye. Iran for say a nuclear now moye no. For enginam kania and but and I said this vividly. The last time I was in Iran, I spoke to their foreign minister when I met him almost 10 years ago in Tehran. And I said to them, say, look, you can't trust America, neither can you trust the Israelis. And I imagine some nuclear weapons are and the Motuhana Omato Asham. I said, I'm almost 10 years. And Nabemi. Kofi, if Iran had nuclear, which is a deterrent, I know Obi be attack you a bebo nya kuro I say ufie wo kramaya or dangerous. Na osa wo watchman, na osa wo CCTV, na osa wo barbed wires near there, electric fence near there.
Yeah.
Sebi Obi ba ho abe di boni a. I mean obe dwene ho twice. O he North Korea, ene obi a ha omo. North Korea for the say they've acquired dangerous weapons, and that seems to be the only language that Europeans and Americans understand. Say, we are sort as a prepare now so far can be about for home about home by now about home for home by because the first duty of every nation is the protection of its citizens, and Iran has a right to protect its citizens. This war is illegal. This war is going to affect the people of the world. But the woman, America doesn't give a damn. And the reason why America for won't give a damn, they say, Iran for a close to the Strait of Hormuz here. It will affect China a lot. And America wants to see the back of China. And China economy is weak. Because China, about 45% of Omo Iran for Nedema. It would also affect other economies around the world. America forces also farm war. Now America forces also because of Russia-Ukraine war, the sanctions on Russia. Russia for intimate and turn or farm war and my Europe.
Yeah.
Iran for a blockosa ship aquania. The only place Europe can get farm war from the United States of America. Unless you're not reading between the lines. And for Omono and especially for Trump, it's purely based on trade. And he doesn't mind if he crashes the economy today for the economy of the US to rise tomorrow so that every other person depends on them. Me analyze here. That is what I see to be happening. It's a colonialist agenda, but it's also a deliberate agenda by Trump to crash the world economy. Europe for so as a warrior of one son and now here on son. Iran for any one now back. But eventually they are the ones who would suffer because it will cost them more to import oil from the US than to have imported oil from the Middle East, because Middle East and Europe say US, So that is geopolitically. Africa needs to be very careful. Africa needs to unite, Kofi. And these are some of the reasons why Nkrumah was on African unity. Saying na yen kambom, na yentimi trading amongst ourselves, na yentimi and diversify. Because right now there's going to be an escalation of the conflict. Conflict na escalate here. Kofi is thrown our economy off gear. In Shisha Papa Bia Abaya Biano, it will come to naught. Because we also depend on some of these oil to power our thermal plants, for vehicles, etc. It's not enough for us. It's not enough to power our thermal plants. It's not enough to put in people's vehicles, etc. Into yesterday craft over. Into a company say on the world market price they say it's under $100. If it goes beyond $100, government has no option than to find money from somewhere, to be able to buy, to keep the electricity running, for you and I to be able to find fuel to put in our vehicles. That is what is happening. That is what's going to happen, unfortunately.
But the economy now the ama ebi susu say ekofa wiase kon aba. I don't know say also for so say world war no bi na warm up eba na America dia or blast strategic points sabre or the aba betu bia say ma Iran and retaliate. Do you also foresee say action no ebema akwa yes mahu say Iran for enso aba abonten say enye nokre niam na America say wase no or not say that ebi 10 years now kan kire o no mu nim ti o asese afiri ho dada nti the obablast ye ne de na dan bi a obi a enhyem nti mane ye na dwen say wase ne niam no. Are we warming up for something ewi asempe?
Well, nukra wo mu say Iran for evacuate nyoma ewo atomic site, and sanyoma no ewo underground Iran is very mountainous.
Yeah.
I say Kwo, but it's worse than even Kwo. It's worse than even Nkoko. The level of mountains are more in Iran. It's a very mountainous area. And from satellite imagery I buy in the last 5 days, Iran moved everything from there. Into America, Bombay, they bombed empty rocks. What do I say? Just to show power. But obviously, Iran is not a country. Sabi Obo Mazuma Omodo Homacho. Say the 10 years, I say Sabi Predasa. Wako Zomoni Entokwa. I mean, any brasam neka. But Kofi, say Oka Zomoni Entokwa. And the Obakwa till. That is what is going to happen. Because if Iran doesn't retaliate, they'll lose face. Just they are projecting a sense of weakness, and they would retaliate. Already, you've seen the destruction, even to the Israeli economy. One of the topmost research centers in the world, Iran destroyed it. They've destroyed their military, bases in Israel. They've CTB in Israel, Haifa. Haifa is the port of Haifa. I said, your friend say, port completely gone, completely. And day in, day out, you are seeing. It's just unfortunate, say, the Western media, which is brought onto the Western propaganda, would not project some of these things for people to see, especially with Israel also introducing censorship of what is happening. But Iran is not taking it lightly. And so long as Iran is also retaliate here, before you realize, no obi use weapons are any kind of use. Only use weapons are any kind of obey use. Pakistan is going to get involved. And Kofi, the reason why Pakistan would get involved, they say Pakistan shares border with Iran and Afghanistan and India. Already, Omone India phone can.
Okay.
Already, Afghanistan is also a stable country. And Iran has a population of more than 90 million. And if we are a neighbor to a country with a population of more than 90 million, you don't want that country to be destabilized.
Okay.
So Pakistan would join, and Pakistan is a nuclear armed country as well, would join on the side more than likely, of Iran. India is likely to join on the side of Israel and America. Then you have China, because China is going to lose a lot. If Iran blocks that strait, China for they can get oil from Russia, but it wouldn't be as cheaper as they would have been getting it from Iran as they're getting it now. China is likely going to get involved. I'm sure you've heard the former Russian president, former Russian, one of the former Russian president, Medvedev, something like that. I've forgotten the pronunciation of his name. Kase, other countries should be in readiness to stand by Iran. Emma Trump, so Abba, the latest Trump Twitter, says on the Sebi predecessor. I dream Sebi, any Trump I dream. Because his latest tweet, and if you haven't seen it, I can share with you. If you see the sort of things he's talking about, it's unbecoming of a president. Because we are Mampenya, there are certain talk, you don't have to say them, but that's Trump for you. And that's the unfortunate thing. And yes, they may be pushing us to the brink of World War III, but God forbid. War in places like Liberia and Sierra Leone, Kofi Enyezi. In places like Boku, where there's curfews, where nothing is going on, where it's affecting schools, in January, Mumbai said we wouldn't even get there. But unfortunately, there is no leadership at the global level. Africa, if we had a strong voice, we could have, condemned. But small, tiny countries. Togo for condemn America for another Ghana for.
Maybe a Nigeria soldier for no bet me I warm up.
Na Nigeria, Nanseya omo akwadi abede beto social media. Because when I hear almost say your big brothers are over expect to say, omo to corruption amamu bone, omo they are so minor. But Nigeria is actually a great country, blessed with a lot of resources, but they are not there. They can't. And that is where we find ourselves, which is most unfortunate. And we are hoping, say, at the UN level, even though the UN has become more or less a toothless bulldog, but, pressure will be put to bear on Israel and then on the United States of America for them to back off, because Iran, like I said, they are not going to negotiate anything until the attacks stop. And so long as Israel continues to attack them, they would retaliate. And the more they retaliate, the more things get out of hand. And now Israel for, if you check Cyprus, Israel for almost two as refugees, Cyprus and Greece. These are all things that you're not seeing in the Western media, but these are things that are happening. 1/3 of one-third of Tel Aviv or Western media say Iran are saying no. I believe, based on what I'm seeing, the level of damage and devastation is more than 1/3 of Tel Aviv. That city is gone.
We pray say amai betimi a fire na aboa ewiase nyina, but that's to say just like the okan ya me yem hye me say Iran so enkyere say oyehufo eninti kwan bia so ono nso beto bi make kan so no Trump adi kan abo ne kokose wonnim na de ya be ye ono ye bia obehu de ye de be ye oti PC na say ye hwehwe, but as to say eben no yentimi nka
Kovi say enye enkoasom na omo pese omo de amanfo koma nka ye no an say na amen a wo koka ntokwa wakoba obi eni so also oyebema ono so omo. I mean, where do you even hear this? But you realize that it feeds into the colonialist agenda. Thomas Sankara, Thomas Sankara, same thing. He won't bow to Western pressure. Fidel Castro, Cuba for say, Omone Cuba Eben, United States of America is closer to Florida. almost omone Russia for ebe iron core. Also wetiko apai. For 65 years, you are sanctioning this poor nation. You would remember, because I mean you are older. You remember, Saddam Hussein, weapons of mass destruction, Colin Powell money, Condoleezza Rice more. Ekosi saying America lost $3 billion, right?
Yes.
Several American troops lost their lives. Look at what happened in Afghanistan. Billions of dollars lost. Several American troops, thousands, as a matter of fact, about 3,000 American troops lost their lives. Korea is saying the Taliban is back in power after 20 years. So what would you have achieved? As a matter of fact, Trump Ankasa, the National Security Advisor, Abekase, Iran is nowhere near developing to pay up or more general. Iran is not there. IEA inspectors now more inspected to make sure say or mind be ebedisuno. Abekase, Iran is not there yet. So what is your problem? To have started a war and said to the person whom you had bombed, say, "Oh, Mabui, Musyonkana, Babumibi, I mean, who are you? Kofi, look at how beautiful the world is, and you have traveled. There's something for everyone. There's abundance of resources. And still, enkophobia nyankopon ehira omo so omo de nyankopon de ama omoni so chinchina, they would continue to oppress the people of the world. And that is why, as I said, as Africans, 1, we have to unite. 2, we have to trade amongst ourselves. 3, we have to diversify our economies. Eating what we grow and growing what we eat. Kofi, I don't see why by this time, Yentiminka said, all the northern regions of Ghana, Upper East, Upper West, Northern region, Savannah, parts of Oti region, move to solar. You get about 40 degrees Celsius of sunshine in a day. Unka said all households and spend about $1 billion on this project. And make sure that it happens. And make sure that you free the national grid of certain things. So that at least factories could rely on thermal, could rely on Akosombo. And then you can even say all the coastal belts, Volta region, Greater Accra, Cape Coast, Takrade, private homes and small businesses, wind power, and you power it. Kofi, you're in the States at the moment. You're saying, Korea, among for Geomani, so also be
Florida. Oh, Bronsam Jamway.
Omunai. Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah.
It's solar. More than 70, and the day I'll be you will see that solar trees are more planted. The energy of Vegas is used. And your energy kitwa. But they are about 70% of their energy consumption is coming from solar. Because that is the future. Because world market of crude fluctuates. Until on toma abo crude oil and your economy is going to crash one day. And Kofi, COVID has taught us, and world events have taught us, say, look, we need to be thinking into the future. COVID by one and then said you could actually sit at your home and do the work that you do in your office. No. Today it's become the ish. Yeah. There are companies who would even give their staff off days to work from home, to work remotely. Kofi TV. COVID and ma nkasanyo meyama. Look at what happened to Ghana's economy in 2015 and 2016. Gold prices and cocoa prices above from the economy crashed. And Sanyoma way in 90 years, you and free and free energy. Traditional ways of using energy. Now, Norway, there's hardly any sunshine in Norway. They don't get more than 2 months.
Probably these suggestions.
I dream it, yeah, I dream, but as
Okay.
to, you know, it's
Implementation.
entirely up to the government. But I feel say, and you remember my suggestion about the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah.
We need to be creative in generating revenue
Yeah.
for the country. We need to be creative in saving. And the reason why we have to save and crave and create other opportunities is say, Kofi, you save for a rainy day. You see, you make hay while the sun is still up. And I yes, sir.
No, correct.
Nothing so yamfa creative ways of also generating revenue. Kofi, and that's a usi down Ghana. Mason obefano, plumber obefano, events the electrician obefano, carpenter obefano, obi bia obeye edanu ho adwuma bia no. Utria omoka, say sika na ekọ mobotom. They don't pay taxes on their income. Kroba and Sona amount for ebeye adwuma, they don't pay taxes on their income. Meanwhile, all the category of these people are makayama. Omu yusu akwan a meme na oyetua taxes a ye de ye kwan no. Sabi ebia omumma wo SHS. Ebia omoyerenum akọ public hospital. But they are not in the tax bracket. And there are fewer people who are paying their taxes. And we need to bring them on board. Because we have traffic violations in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
US. And I remember an incident in Texas some 3 years ago. Because for Madame Fubika. Zones. Say school zone now. Market zone.
Yeah.
So Mantem was a school or her. There's a limit within which you can drive.
Yeah, 30.
Mostly it's 30.
Yeah.
Na usionka na ukoye 40. Ubenya ticket. Me there me could drive a madam for car at about 40-45. And then you may because schools
Okay.
had closed.
Yeah.
Maba Ghana. After a month, he got bail of about $400 and something in his mail set. A car the whole year because there were traffic violations. Because we can't continue taxing the same few people who are within the tax bracket. And Ghana, I believe say Kofi, I've seen 85 countries in the world. Ghana is highly blessed. We can use creative ways of generating revenue. We don't even have to go to the IMF and World Bank to raise 3 billion.
Mm-hmm.
We can raise that money within Ghana. From tourism alone, we can raise about 20 billion. I've done the numbers.
I think so.
It's not
Maybe a business capa monetizing lawbreakers like they say traffic day. Yeah, okay. Oh, we would have made a lot of money.
Kofi, you know Kumasi very well. I grew up in Sipeti Mpoma in Kumasi.
Okay.
Oko Sipeti Mpoma, maintain mo bi oha mo friend no Nima any mook. Umo said heavy duty trucks. Oha no mo park your trucks. Na omo oil egu from kwan aye aban aboka aye na essay. The district assembly is just watching them destroy the roads. Kofi Kroba and so na obekwa parking air free. Debia we say oh America fair, Canada fair, Norway fair. The citizens are paying for all those things. There's a quancha there fair. And we've got to get every Ghanaian to pay their equal share of the burden. But not just that. We also need to make sure say taxes are my amount for Atriano. Abanzo so use taxes no positively.
Yeah.
Because what would be the use to pay your taxes when government is wasting the taxes? So everybody would have to do their burden. The government has to be creative in generating more revenue. And that is one of the reasons why I'm saying, Mika said, 22 embassies, Kurano, young close, and save about $100 million a year. And use that money to build more schools, more roads, more hospitals for our people. Kofi, because the people are suffering. I mean, if you go to rural Ghana and you see the levels of poverty, you see the places we call hospitals. Now, even in Kromokrano, you were in a hospital in Dubai recently.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the hospitals and look at what we have, what we call hospitals here. That's a film.
We praise we praise things will change, and then the bigger picture, which is the course of Iran Israel America no. And also I know Ebebrasi. I mean, from here we will be having more of these conversations. I know say was some engagement be I mean her time no more. And as oko have you know. Yemfa way NCA. I'll get back to you again now for your sign. Ashe and con baby ebe sign diafa. That's it.
That's it. And I wish you full recovery and all the best. Thank you.
All right. That's it. I was now for Penny Ras Mubarak and Yenino Edi and Komono. Say, see, bisa, we are say, we are sitting on tenterhooks. In who baby any a betche.